The best way to think about what Social Security disability is to imagine it as an insurance policy. It's an insurance policy that you've been paying into, sometimes unknowingly, since you've been working at a job. And you pay in, and you're paying in your premiums, and you're paying in your premiums with the understanding that if you ever, whether it be by injury or sickness, if you're ever incapable of working a full-time job, then you are entitled to Social Security disability benefits. The most common reason that people would want to apply for Social Security disability benefits would be because they've most likely lost their job as a result of an injury or a severe illness that's just rendered them incapable of working. And the standard is that if you're incapable of performing any full-time job for longer than 12 months, then you are entitled to disability benefits. The two most common forms of Social Security disability benefits are the monthly income that you receive, and that's usually based on your earnings leading up to the time that you became disabled. And then after a certain amount of time, typically 3 years from the date of your disability, you are entitled to Medicare. You're also entitled, for those who've been unable to work and pay into the system enough, there's a separate type of Social Security called SSI. And in that sense, you're more limited in your monthly income, and instead of being entitled to Medicare, you're typically entitled to a state Medicaid program. The first step for someone filing for Social Security disability benefits is the initial application, and that can be done either in person or it can be done online. I think the benefits of doing the application in person is that you can actually meet with a worker there who may be able to help you determine things like what should your alleged date of disability be, things like that, kind of help you out in terms of what type of medical evidence you need in order to hopefully successfully win on your first time around Social Security. I would describe applying for Social Security disability benefits to be very complicated. The initial application is simple enough, but once you get into the process, a lot of the terms that are used in Social Security are foreign to most people who have never looked at a Social Security case. And so from that point forward, you're trying to learn and figure out exactly what types of medical evidence you're supposed to have for Social Security. So I would describe it as a somewhat complicated process, particularly in the initial stages. The two most common things that I see disqualifying people from getting Social Security benefits is either they've actually worked too many hours during the application process and they're disqualified because they do not meet the substantial gainful employment requirements. Also, another thing that tends to disqualify people is that they've not worked enough in the past to build up the credits needed to even get to the Social Security disability stage. And so you want to make sure that when you are applying and you're looking at whatever date of disability that you're going to allege to Social Security, you want to make sure that it's within the period in which you were insured by Social Security. And that's a process that can be somewhat complicated. After your initial application, you will most likely probably be denied by Social Security. And so that's going to open up another step in the process, and that's called a request for reconsideration. That step is very important, and you have to make sure that you follow the 60-day deadline. And if you're outside of that 60-day deadline, if you wait too long, then you have to start all over. And oftentimes when you start all over, you're not allowed to go back and allege the same date of disability. So pay attention to the deadlines. My firm has more than 30 years of experience in practicing Social Security law. One of the things about our firm that makes us uniquely suited in practicing Social Security law is that we've been able to follow these cases throughout the process. We've appealed cases both to the hearing stage and also to the Appeals Council in Virginia. And we've also successfully filed and argued many federal court cases involving Social Security appeals. And I think that does make us unique. I would say that people hire our firm for many different reasons. Some people have relationships already in the past with our firm. Some people have relationships with former clients of our firm. We also get referrals from other lawyers, and we tend to get most of our referrals from other clients. And I think that it kind of builds more of a relationship with the clients than some other firms would have. I would hope that current and past clients would describe our firm as being a small firm that is able to accomplish great things for them. A firm that is able to pay attention to their needs, where if they do contact us and they want to speak to one of the attorneys, they will actually get to speak to an attorney and not to a paralegal or legal assistant. They actually get one-on-one contact with us. We currently have 5 attorneys. We have a small support staff that helps with us in prosecuting cases. Client communication is one of the most important things in developing a relationship with your client. If they feel like that you're not contacting them or discussing their case with them, then they often feel lost, and they're already feeling lost, and that's why they've hired you in the first place. So that is one of the top priorities we have as a law firm. One of the biggest things I think that separates us from other firms in the Augusta-Aiken area especially is that we practice law in both South Carolina and Georgia. And we've practiced law in South Carolina and Georgia for a long time. I've actually been licensed in South Carolina longer than I've been licensed in Georgia. Your case will not be handed off to another attorney in the firm. When you hire our law firm, you are hiring all of the lawyers. We all tend to work together on cases. All of the support staff tend to work together on cases. But at the end of the day, the lawyer that you hired will be the lawyer that you deal with, and that lawyer will stay there throughout the entire case. An initial consultation for someone who has been denied Social Security benefits would most likely involve going through the medical records, finding out which doctors they've seen, trying to look at their work history, trying to gather medical evidence and seeing which doctors may be able to help complete the forms that Social Security requires in order to determine disability. And that would be most of the initial consultation.